So we will call to order the Thursday, March 24th meeting of the Business Development Commission. We do see 5 members present, so we have a quorum. Our council liaison, Councilwoman Arnold, in the conference room with us, along with staff. We'll go first to the approval of the minutes from the February meeting. They have been submitted. Members, are there any corrections, additions, or changes? And if not, I would take a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there a second?
Second.
Tammy, I'll count you as our second. You and Bud can fight for the honors today. So moved by Andrew, second by Tammy to approve the minutes as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
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 The ayes have it unanimously. All right, moving on. Visitor comments. I don't see any visitors on Zoom. There are none in the room. So we will move to the next item, which is old business. The business survey update. The business survey is up. We are getting responses. And just as we all talked about, we've got responses of certain questions and not others, and that's fine. That'll help us gauge where things are at. We have an email going out to the business list today, and then it will continue to go out weekly with reminders. We do have a scheduled end date of April 5th. We can extend that for a week and such if we want to, looking at volume. So it is out. We will continue to share on social media and in our Friday page as well from the city. So happy to answer any questions. If there's comments on the business survey, Pam, is where we're at. All right. Explore Webster Grove's website revamp update. I asked Jenny Starkey. I know we have a date that the new website is going to be up, but she hasn't given it to me, or I forgot it, I should say. And so I texted her. So I don't have an update beyond that, but we are moving forward. They have done more panel designs and such on the website. So we are looking for that transition. I believe it's going to be late spring into the early summer period. So that will be up and active. But I'm happy to give you any other update and have Jenny, we'll get an email out if folks want to have other questions as well. All right. This is efficient. We like this. Yes. We'll spend some time on this one. The working group update is next, the subcommittee. So I'm gonna who's giving that report, and I see we have did everyone get this email? No. Okay. So I will share a report proposal, or Bob, when you tell me to, or Tammy, or whoever is going to lead the conversation here for the proposal from the working group on the screen for all of you that didn't get it. So
Tammy can take the lead.
So Bob, is that you?
Yes, I was saying Tammy can take the lead if she's
Okay.
game too.
Sure. I have a lot of background noise from somebody's mic. It's hard to hear. But when looking back through the notes of the previous committee's meetings, it seemed to have been really important at that time, as well as the recent meetings that we've had, to find someone that can communicate between what's going on with the city, updates, things that are discussed in the committee with different, or with on this commission with all of the business owners in Webster Groves. So when we were talking about it at our meeting, we were trying to figure out how we could fund this, and we don't know if it's capable to do within a role of a current employee in the city. But the proposal, there we go. The proposal is that we would request that some of the funding, the American Relief Funds, be used to fund it immediately, but that we consider a nominal fee added to the business license so that it could be a sustainable position. We found that it would probably be most convenient form of messaging to do it through an app. Possibly there are ones that are more business related, where people can be separated into groups or segments or districts or whatever is needed, or there are more casual ones where people can do it as like a conversational type of thing that the business owners can communicate to each other. that we would like to be able to know when there's new businesses coming into the area, one's closing, things like that. That would be really helpful. I found that I learned that more through the Business Development Commission than I did just being, a business owner in the community. Oh, and especially to perform like kind of outreach as an ambassador, to be able to help people that are new businesses or maybe interested in opening a new business in Webster Groves, to understand some of the ordinances and licensing, and to be able to know who to speak with in the city, or if they needed some facilitation of conversations and things like that, that there would be a go-to person that could be kind of a welcoming ambassador to assist in any kind of citywide events. That there's a lot of details involved with that that can affect businesses, the parking and traffic, things like that. To communicate those updates, like we were talking about the last time, on public works, construction in the roads and on sidewalks and things like that has had a really huge impact lately on us and on like the neighborhood, things like that. And the citywide business calendar, that was another one that I think we talked about different ways that that's being done now, but they could maybe help update that. The proposed, so proposing maybe a $35 business license fee. I think at the last meeting, someone mentioned that there were well over 1,000 businesses in Webster. So we thought that a small fee like that could help fund this position if necessary.
Great. Tammy and others, I mean, this is open to discussion. I assume other business working group members, I'm looking at the councilwoman who I know is on group, or Bob, any others, comments or questions from other members? So.
I think
just
our,
a question.
But I'm going to hold there and let her Bob go. Is that okay with you? We'll let her Bob pop in.
Go ahead.
no, go, it's fine. Let's hear the question.
Okay, bud, it's all you.
Okay, I just wondered, Tammy, can I get a copy of this so I could share it with the board of the Chamber of Commerce?
Fran will be emailing it out to all of us. So we'll all get it later today.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
yep. Or Bob?
I think just to kind of reiterate the main point that Tammy was making is that communication just seemed to be kind of the main motivation for this, in terms of serving as a liaison between the commercial businesses in Webster Groves and the city operations.
It seems like this was that this was a really important aspect of this committee that had met previous to COVID, and then maybe that took away the ability to move forward on the on this issue. So it seems like this has been around for a while.
I think that's right, Tammy. And I think not only the it's not only COVID, it was also the relaunch of the website to try and focus on how we can make that work better for businesses in terms of just doing things kind of sequentially. But this is fantastic, a fantastic proposal. I missed the subcommittee meeting, so thank you all for this.
How do we go about raising $35 for the license? What's the process for that?
Yeah, so the ultimately the business license fee is set by ordinance, and there's some state statute provisions that we'd have to check, but it's not a state action. It's a city ordinance that would set the business license fees. So you could add I'm gonna, for this time, not having looked at it, call it like a surcharge, because our business license fee is set up on I'll use the word progressive scale, right? The more sales you have, the higher amount your license fee is. So that this would be like a $35 add-on if you want a flat across the board for everyone.
Is that simply a council vote to change that?
Yes, it would take 2 council meetings. It doesn't really have an emergency nature, so it would, yes, but it's 3 readings of the ordinance, which is 2 council meetings. Council majority vote can change that ordinance.
Okay.
I think if you want to just talk about process, I mean, it seems if, as you look at this, and if you want to act today, we certainly can, it's on the agenda, but would be to formalize this not as a subcommittee recommendation, but does this go from the Business Development Commission, your whole commission, as a recommendation to the council, which is your primary role and duty is to provide the council recommendations and advice on matters pertaining to the business community. So.
And in terms of calendar, I think it's probably important to do that relatively soon. I think right after the election, we'll begin discussion of budget and American Rescue Plan, specific funding provisions from American Rescue Plan dollars. And so I don't want the lag I don't want the money to be allocated and not fund this because this isn't in front of council. So I think there is a timeliness to it that probably needs to be served.
Is there additional information that we would need to get before sending this to the council? As far as understanding whether this falls within the role of an existing position on the city?
But I think you can send this to me, and I certainly won't speak for the councilwoman, but as a staff member, there are certainly things that cross over with what Jenny Starkey and I both do. But either way, I would say send this recommendation in, because it is ultimately the job of council and the manager to decide, okay, if we're going to do a business liaison, how do we then repurpose jobs, and line up duties and such. But also there are other things that outside of communication, from my perspective, if we're going to hire on a staff in business area to look at, that we really need to look at as well. One of the things not on here, but most city economic development people are constantly working the phones with realtors on empty commercial spaces, right? We've got this space, come in, bring a client. Half of that's a hyperbole on my part. A good chunk of the Yorkshire Plaza is open, right? I mean, we have open buildings down there. So,
Should
those
we
are
add that? Should we add that kind of not real estate, like commercial real estate, like communicating that availability of commercial real estate?
I think those are things, yes, you can add whatever you wish, I think is fine. Where I was going to is, we have put a placeholder, at least in the manager's version of the budget, for a conversation about this type of role and duties, because we are hearing it from folks, not specifically on all these points, but about how do we effectively bridge between really what's been a regulatory function at the city into more of a promotion and development type of function. And that's the difference between, Mara Perry's world in planning and development and a true economic development professional or business development professional. So, it doesn't always work, and, I'm not making any promises because we have a lot of things to consider with the budget, but it's there to have that conversation with council about what's the priorities and what gets funded. So I think knowing and hearing from the BDC would be helpful for the council in that regard. So.
Yeah, I will just agree with everything Eric said. I don't think you need to worry about whether Jenny Starkey is doing some of these things already, or if Eric's doing some of these things already. The list is what you believe the business community needs, and then it's our job to help figure out how that functions within the constraints of our staff resources, whether that's adding staff, whether that's making sure that one person or 2 people working closely together to have that. The more important thing is, what is it that you need?
That's understood, and I appreciate it put that way. Thanks to both of you. So that helps me analyze this and assess this. I look at it, and to me, as I sit here, it looks great. It looks like it meets a lot of the strategic will help advance a lot of the strategic objectives and goals we've been talking about in these meetings. Fantastic, but without understanding how it's going to be funded, it's hard for me to give it a thumbs up. But that's not really my job, right? So this, in terms of advancing the goals and objectives of the Business Development Commission, as we understand the business community, which is, it has its limitations. This looks great to me.
Just Andrew, on the funding mechanism, I do appreciate though that the statement that there should be a surcharge or whatever on the business license fee, because that we know then that the money collected will go straight back to servicing the business community. And so I do appreciate the thinking through proposed funding as well.
Yeah, and I'm just like someone like me, I'm not capable of sitting here and evaluating whether a $35 license fee increase is good for the business community, right? I think this position in these, these tasks and in the strategic objective here looks fantastic on paper. That doesn't sound like a lot of money, but that's not something I'm capable of evaluating. But if you just, because I don't know how the business community would feel about it or whether there's other sources of funds, which have also been identified here, which is great. This looks like adding this type of liaison, and also going back to the last meeting where we heard concerns voiced from the community about communication amongst the business districts. I still don't quite understand what that means, but that could be something that this position or more resources devoted to interacting with businesses on a regular basis could help that sort of abstract concern be addressed. So I really like this presentation here, and just, like I said, I don't feel well positioned to assess how it gets funded, but I'd be comfortable recommending this as, in a vacuum, a very nice proposal. Sorry to ramble.
You should come to me at City Hall. We ramble all the time. It's fine, so.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
I'll stop. I apologize.
That was a very good comments. Please hear that as that way, so.
Is there anything that we would need to add or change before sending this to City Council, in your opinion?
I'd like to say something. I
Let's
think
see.
that this is fantastic, and thank you, committee, for working on this. And I've, had my own anecdotal evidence that it's necessary, but it also doesn't look like a full-time job to me. So I appreciate what Eric was saying about the need for someone to go, as you said, bang the phones to realtors. I'm also aware that there are business districts that, have ambitious shop owners that go around and try to recruit people to come into their business district, and that's a great thing. And I appreciate that, but that's not every business district, and there aren't that many ambitious people. But when we talk about expanding as a community, I often hear the feedback, well, we don't have the shops filled that we already have, so why should we add more? So I think there is value, high value, in making sure there's literally somebody out there trying to get to businesses and recruit them for Webster, or allow them to understand what doing business in Webster offers them. And I think that might flush out more of this person's job description.
Cece, thank you. Appreciate that. To follow up on that comment, to answer Tammy's question, ultimately we can add whatever needs you want. If that's that type of function I brought up wants to be added, you can add that. I think in terms of form, the content is pretty good. We would clean it up a little bit and just address it to council, either as a memo or a letter in a draft, and get it over to Mike to sign if you all agree with it. And that, so council knows this is an official BDC recommendation and such, and so that they can have that and have it in place as we go through the budget process.
I think it would be wise for us to wait till at least next meeting to do this, since a lot of us are seeing this for the first time, and it is good stuff, but that we can digest it and have a maybe even better conversation next time after we've reviewed it and thought through it as a complete commission.
Would it be fair to at least say to, let Eric at least during the budget planning process and when council here, because we're going to probably start this before the next BDC meeting. So would it be fair at least to say, make sure that somebody, myself or Eric or whoever, is saying we expect a proposal from the BDC for a small portion of the ARP funds? Because Tim, are you saying we may not want to do this, or you want to work a little bit on the form?
I'm just thinking that, as a group, the subcommittee put this together, fantastic job. I think, yes, we do want to put out that we are coming forward with this,
Okay.
but I also think now that everybody's seen it, not to go against anything here, but just to, there may be, if we think about it, other people think about it, now that we have a nice structured document, we might be able to add a little bit more to this, if that makes sense.
All right, so then our marching orders as staff member and liaison are to make sure that people understand that at least we want a little placeholder in there, and we're gonna get a formal proposal as soon as this committee can do it.
That is my personal opinion.
Would it be okay to, I don't know how we feel about doing things, dare I say remotely, but kind of given that it's spring break and that might be the reason why everyone's a little bit away, can we like maybe convene as or send like an email to say, please comment on this and get some comments so that we can maybe move things along in the interest of timing?
I assume, or Bob, where you're going is not only communicate, but then also, but if I heard you correct, to essentially have a special meeting earlier in April than your normal time to take action if you're prepared.
Maybe not necessarily a meeting, but if that's what has to happen.
No, I just wanted to make sure I was interpreting what you were driving
Oh,
at.
I was more saying, just if we send an email to all the BDC commission members to say, hey, we'd like to move this along. Can you please comment on this, because we want to submit this like in a timely fashion.
Would it?
I think we would need to have another meeting in order to, because just people commenting isn't going to change this document. We won't know how everybody feels on any other, but I would be fine with another meeting just to discuss this before in an earlier time frame.
Okay.
We certainly will get it out between Fran and I. We can definitely collect comments and, offer some revisions and drafts and such like that out to the group. But I do agree with Tim that ultimately, since we're making this a recommendation, we should all come back together and, here's everyone's collective input and see the red line, if I can use that term, so that we're all very aware of what we're talking about. So. And if the body, so I'll give you a sense of the budget calendar. This next April session here, the 19th is the swearing in of the new council, which of course is, pretty much a ceremonial night for the council. So we do not expect budget that night, but I would expect the week following that we'll be providing the draft budget, or excuse me, the manager's recommended budget to the council. So we, if you do want to have a special meeting, we're looking really, around the week of the 19th at the latest. Now, we, as I said, have a placeholder in, so the conversation is going to come up. The difference is, if there's, whether the manager will insert your entire funding, proposal, or if that is just going to be dealt with at the council level when the budget arrives at the council. So, and that's fine if it is. It's fine if it's dealt with at the council level. We can make those changes in that process. It's just a different step in the process. Bud knows it well. So let me pose the question then to the group. It seems that we want to take some more time to, if I'm just make sure I got nods on this, that we're going to take more time to look at it, let everyone put their comments in and such. We can take comments and get a draft pulled together, and then we'll determine, and we'll poll you as well if you feel like you need a special meeting, or if we're waiting till the 28th of April to finalize. Does that seem to be thumbs up the direction we're heading?
Sounds like a plan.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Hey, we have a plan. That's good. I personally, as a staff liaison, thank you to all the working group members. It's great to have a nice proposal like this. We're starting to see the commissions really sort of come alive in a lot of ways with plans and ideas and proposals. So at least in my tenure here. So I really appreciate it, and good work. So thank you. Next, we have new business. I don't have any new business. Was there any items that folks have for future meetings or conversations or issues that they wanted to bring up? The next meetings and such. All right. Business district updates. Well, I will start with Tim. Tim, is there anything from Old Webster you want to report?
I don't think so. We just talk about benches and budgets.
It was a meeting about benches and budgets. so
Yes, it was.
Old Orchard, Fran will help me if I forget anything. Old Orchard, the gazebo series is all planned again a little earlier in the fall. Is that correct? Or
Starts in August, mid-August.
so the gazebo series will start in mid-August. Very happy to hear that. And they, you'd be amazed, we're ordering Christmas lights now so that we have them in time for Christmas and ornaments and such this coming fall and winter. Crossroads dealt with, we have a trash issue that we dealt with, which is a major issue down there, and got that fixed. The other issue for Crossroads is the county has taken over the grant application on the Big Bend streetscape improvement, which is a massive win. Thank you to Councilwoman Arnold and others, the mayor as well, for meetings with them. So that grant was submitted, and we are, because it is going to be used in pavement, so this is the weird part of transportation grants, because the pavement is going to be redone now and not just sidewalk to pedestrian safety, but because there's new pavement, now it's a safety grant. And so there's a higher likelihood that Big Bend will receive that federal funds, and so that we can really help Crossroads move forward with a good looking streetscape down there and improvement of the road and pedestrian and vehicle traffic. So, and that would include then reworking the crosswalks, shortening the crosswalks, and improving pedestrian safety for sixth graders and children walking to Hickson with the move of sixth grade to Hickson. So those are those updates. Anything else? Questions on business districts? Oh, I forgot to mention Crossroads is going to, I think there might be their first ever special activity permit down
Yes,
there.
It is.
They're going to host a pickleball tournament. So we'll be closing a piece of Gore and Kenilworth for an all-day pickleball tournament, probably in August. So we will make sure that invitations, if you all want to join and play pickleball, but Digital Strike is leading the effort, and the business district decided, you know what, we can have all the same fun that Old Orchard and Old Webster have. So they're asking for a street closure, which has been approved, and they're going to be playing pickleball.
Yeah, it's actually a fundraiser.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Yep. So really cool to have that happening. I will go to city updates next, and I'll start. Officer Razul is here. If you don't know Officer Razul, he's right there across from me. He is our, I think he's been on our meetings before, but he is our man on the parking beat who helps us deal with parking issues. So Turn, is there any updates for the group or anything? None? All right. If you do have parking issues and you email me, I'll just tell you it's going to go right to Officer Razul. So thanks for his good work in that regard. Councilwoman Arnold.
Yeah, just two quick things about council activity. We got a presentation at our last meeting from the Sustainability Commission. Speaking of more things coming from our commissions, for a community-wide sustainability plan called Forever Webster Grows. It was very well received by the council, and we'll begin to work on, the Sustainability Commission is going to help us work through kind of what our priorities and flesh out some of the details, I think leading to a more formal approval. But if you want to take a look, there's some good ideas, and I know some people on this commission have had interest in working with sustainability in moving our community forward. So that's one thing that's exciting. Less exciting, but absolutely necessary, is that we're working on the tree ordinance. And so if you have interest in trees around Webster Groves, the new tree ordinances are up. It really applies exclusively to new building and a little bit of right-of-way stuff, but it is important that we do this for builders, but also more importantly, that we continue to have the green community that we do have.
Has that been finalized yet?
It has not. It had first and second reading, and there was a public hearing and first and second reading. I believe it'll be on the agenda April 5th. I think there's some confusion about whether we're meeting April 5th. So do you know, Eric?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So it will either be voted on probably the 5th or the 19th.
Okay.
And I'll shoot links for the tree ordinance over to Fran to send out to everyone so you can see that, and also the Forever Webster plan, so you'll have just direct access to be able to get right to those items. Just on that, I mean, from a staff perspective, the sustainability plan is outstanding, and there's a lot of potential with commercial issues and such, especially around sustainability in terms of energy, both solar initiatives, EV charging stations, and as that continues to grow, and, I come from a state, before I came here in Arizona, where, EV stations became quite an attraction for commercial retailers to have, out in front of that. And so that is another potential that we will be looking at. Now, that said, we have to fit it for Webster and make sure it's right, but those are some great opportunities that exist in that regard as well.
Absolutely.
Quickly on city updates, I'll throw up here. Let me get to the right page and then go back and share. So we have got the business licenses for you. So Mara, was always good to read these to you. I'm just going to actually show you the whole page right here. So the new business licenses we have since our last meeting, I'll pull that over there. Kip Taylor Massage Therapy and Laclede Market have been approved as new business licenses at those locations there, you can see. So those are our new businesses that have been added. Business licenses are due in the beginning of April. It is technically my job to enforce the business licenses under the municipal code. So we will be reminding folks, and if you all own businesses and haven't turned yours in, please do so. But for those that will be expired and need to renew, they are due in April. And we will be taking a look and making sure we don't have too many scofflaws out there that are dragging down business licenses and not participating with all the rest of you that are. So that is my update in terms of city functions, other than Jen Starkey just sent me a text, and I'm going to share great news. The new website will be up on April 26th. So we are ahead of schedule. April 26th, we will have the whole new website up, which will also mean, and we'll be announcing this as well, the website domain will change. If you remember a few months, I guess 6 months ago now, we changed the email domain to webstermo.gov. webstergrovesmo.gov, excuse me. That will be the new website domain as well. We didn't want to change until we got the new website, but the .gov, because of cybersecurity needs as a city, local government entity, we need to get into that realm. So that will be changing as well. We'll have multiple press releases and announcements and things like that. Webstergroves.org will still work. You'll still get there to the same spot, but the point is you'll see it differently on your screen once you get there, it'll show up as a .gov. And Explore Webster Groves, that'll still not be a .gov, obviously, that function. So
Right. Yeah.
We had council updates, we had city updates. I don't have any other updates. Anything else before we announce our last meeting and get out of this one for the day? Announcements.
Good
What?
job, everybody. Thank you.
Yep. Well, thank you all. Our next meeting is April 28th, and I will take a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Moved by Andrew, second by Bob, and all in favor say aye.
All right.
aye.
The ayes have it unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.